Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mary Ann, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So we have several minutes to approve first. Has everyone had a chance to review the September 13th non-public sealed meeting minutes?
I move that we accept the September 13th non-public sealed meeting minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Ted moves, Zach seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next is September 13th, regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the September 13th regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Ted moves, Zach seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Third set of minutes we have are the September 15th non-public sealed meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the September 15th non-public sealed meeting minutes.
Second.
You get a chance, Mary Ann.
I was letting them go at it.
Ted moves, Zach seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Announcements. All regular meeting minutes or meetings will begin at 5 p.m. Select Board will meet on the following dates: Tuesday, October 12th, and Monday, October 25th. And if a work session is needed, it will now be included with the regular meeting. Regular meeting. Easy for me to say. All the above meetings will be at the Plymouth Town Hall, and citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the Town Hall before 12 noon the Friday before the scheduled meeting. Town offices will be closed October 11th, that's Monday, in observance of Columbus Day. Have a couple of comments, one of which is the Hunt Road update. As you're probably aware, we've been trying to meet with the Bridgewater Selectboard to at least discuss how we're going to solve culvert washout on Hunt Road. We've been trying to nail this down for the past maybe 3 years, something like that, maybe 3 or 4. And what we're going to do is, after kind of repeated trying to contact to try to have a meeting, we're just going to go to the Bridgewater Select Board at their probably the next meeting on Thursday. And I'll have to speak with Joe, because I'd like to have Joe Fagnan there as well, and Neil and myself.
That's this Thursday?
No. Actually, this Thursday might be possible. But I'll talk to Neil and Joe. If not that, we'll... actually, this Thursday's planning board, correct?
No, it's next week.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe this Thursday then.
Do you need any authority to speak, or since it's just the two of you, you can represent the issue?
Yeah, it's basically to just have a communication with the board to see if they might be, or what they might entertain as far as a
Options.
solution, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've done similar discussions in the past, and it never quite clicked. So, I think it's kind of reached ahead. Probably the next major storm will probably knock it out again, and so it may be getting too late to probably have the work done that should be done. But first of all, we'll have to work through the issue of ownership of that culvert. So to engage them this Thursday. Any emergency management update?
The only thing I have tonight is is through Homeland Security Emergency Management. We received an email a couple weeks ago, and I had mentioned this at the last meeting with regards to some additional grant funding through the BRIC grant, BRIC. I have submitted a letter of intent for funding, and that would be funding for the Loon Lake Road flooding project. That was denied by FEMA last year. So as that progresses, I will keep you up to date, but that's the only update I have tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Scott. Next item is acceptance of the Police Department Highway Safety Grant for $3,400.
Good evening. So this is a grant, as you just said, for New Hampshire Highway Safety. It's for very specific traffic enforcement patrols, and it is a reimbursement grant. And they have slogans to go along with the enforcement patrols. They're Join New Hampshire Click, which is seatbelt enforcement, drive sober, get pulled over. Obviously, that's a DWI patrol. And you drive, you text, you pay, and that's obviously the hands-free law that we have for Plymouth, totaling $3,400. These are patrols we would normally do anyway, and it just gives us the opportunity to do more of them and get reimbursed for actually doing them.
Very good.
Any questions?
Yep.
One for me. I love that you do these. It's great.
And the second item, Chief LaFave, POM parking meters.
We need to accept
Oh,
it.
okay,
probably.
sorry, yep.
I'll make a motion that we accept the grant money,
I'll
$3,400.
second.
Okay, Zach moves, Ted seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Now, do I have that? Do you need that signed? Nope.
It's not.
All
Oh,
right.
wait a minute. Oh, no. Never mind.
You good?
Yep, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Go for it.
So the next purchase you have in front of you is for parking meter inserts. So there'll be the new inserts going inside the meters. And this is part of the bond money we talked about. We are going to go live with the Park Mobile app for parking starting November 1st. That's our goal. Signage is in the works. We're having that printed up as we speak now. But as part of that, we wanted to start off with the meters and the app at the same time, so people would have the option to still be able to use coin if they had coin, or the parking app if it's more convenient for them to do that. And doing that, are the insides of our parking meters are aging. Some of them are several years old, in excess of 17 years old. And in trying to do that, I tried to get you guys 3 bids. Couldn't even find 3 companies. I could only find 2. One out of Nova Scotia, and the current one, Palm, that we use now, is the one we would prefer to go with. And it is a slightly higher, but we are getting more for our money. They have offered to come and reprogram all the meter, all the insides that are still good now. They'll come and reprogram those to the new dollar amounts for the parking. Free as part of that agreement. And what we'll do is we'll put the new mechanisms in the meters and save those ones that they're reprogramming as backups in case they do break. So we do have backups. Don't have to spend extra money on backups. The other thing too is that the other company, if we went with the other company, they are about $427.54 less. However, they can't come and program those meters, and they can't do anything to them because they're not their meters, so they won't actually do that. So we can with the Palm. We've been in business with Palm for about 17 years. And the other thing that's unique to Palm, and if you all got my cover sheet that went with the purchase order, is they do a 6-volt battery. And what it is, for some reason, the voltage, that 6-volt battery lasts literally 2 to 4 years when we're getting 1 year out of a 9-volt battery. And I don't know if it's because of the lower voltage and the cold that we have. I have no idea, but they just last a lot longer. And that's kind of proprietary to Palm itself.
Is that a special battery? Like a custom
Yeah, they
battery?
make it themselves, correct, Vicki? They make those themselves, yeah.
So will we have any trouble sourcing those as they wear out over time? Or?
No, I mean, we could just reorder them from them, or in a pinch, if we're out of them, we can throw a 9-volt battery in there, and that would work as well.
Oh, okay.
So With that being said, I would request that we go with the Palm quote that we got for the $28,444.59. And again, this is part of the bond that was voted on last March.
Okay. All right.
And just to remind the board that originally the thought was to replace all the meters with like credit card meters and stuff like that. So we
Right.
originally asked for $168,000 in the bond. This is only a fraction of that.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the PO for the meter replacement.
Okay.
I'll second.
Ted moves, Mary Ann seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes, aye. The ayes have it. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Will do. Are there any correspondence that we've received that you'd like to mention? Hearing none.
You have a public hearing at 5:15.
Okay, we got three minutes. Is that adequate?
Sure.
4 minutes. How about them socks? What else is going on?
It'll take
Keep going?
2 minutes.
Wait a minute.
I think it's like too short for 2 minutes.
You have some appointments to the
That's true.
Energy Commission.
Yep. What is that?
He doesn't want to do it so quickly. He doesn't want to get into that first.
All right. Well, it's here anyway. Okay, so first one is for Maggie Mumford, who wrote that I am writing to request appointment to the Plymouth Energy Commission. Excited for further efforts to reduce energy use in the town and the citizens while maintaining fiscal responsibility. As you are likely aware, I've previously served on the commission and was an active member until 2017. She's kept updated on energy issues and solutions in the meantime. She can offer some expertise on possibilities for renewable energy and funding for such projects. She also has a perspective on the many considerations which come into play with any project. I spent my childhood in Plymouth and have resided in the town for the last 25 years, so my familiarity with the people in our community is great. Thank you for serious consideration of my request, and I look forward to working with you. Sincerely, Maggie Mumford, who's applying to be on the Conservation Commission. Energy Commission, excuse me.
Energy.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept Maggie Mumford as, for the appointment to the Plymouth Energy Commission. I waited.
You were good.
Ted moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mary Ann seconds. Any discussion?
Only to say I think Maggie will be great on the new Energy Commission.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. We're going to appoint Dennis in a minute, but we're not.
Just gonna round up.
I suppose. Sure, I can round up now, right? It's 4:15. I'm opening a public hearing to, well, actually, are pursuant to RSA 3195B, which allows for acceptance of unanticipated funds to be accepted and spent. Total amount of the funds that will be received by the town under this grant is $718,380 from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Funds are to be utilized for specific purposes only according to the U.S. Treasury guidelines, to include responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency or its negative economic impact, to respond to workers performing essential work during the COVID-19 public health emergency, to compensate government services relative to revenue loss, and to make necessary investments in water, sewer, including stormwater, or broadband infrastructure. And we will take comment either in favor or opposed. And so stating that, I think I'll also indicate the projects that we're contemplating to use these funds. Is that overburdensome, or just get the projects out that we anticipate that we'll probably be seeing? Because there are 3 projects.
No, 4. So those projects include Railroad Square, which right now we have currently a application that went in for the TAP grant of $395,000, but we're anticipating that revenue to, that expense to be a little lower than what it should be. The Highway Department is asking for $10,000 more to do additional drainage on the project that they're working on now for Bartlett Road. Plymouth Village Water and Sewer is asking for $140,000 for a project that they're working on down behind the school. And Plymouth Village Water and Sewer is also asking us to consider the project that is coming up, which is part of the South Main Street project on one of the side roads. They did not budget for that roadway, but we're going to have it open, so potentially we could assist them in that project.
What was the estimate on that?
Yeah, do we know how much that is? Or?
I don't have an estimate.
Okay.
The only estimates we have right now are Bartlett Road, and then the project behind the school was for $140,000. Bartlett Road is 10. And we know that Railroad Square is probably going to be around $500,000 is a guess. So.
Okay.
What's our time period to indicate projects and expend that?
We have until 2026 to expend that money. And we only have half of the money in-house right now.
What are they called? Tranches, or whatever. 2 tranches of 300 and whatever.
I don't know where the money keeps coming from. It's
Where it comes
flowing in.
So I'll open it up to anyone who wants to speak in favor or opposed, or to the project or its expenditures on, use of that grant. Ms. Frank?
I was just thinking the same thing. He's supposed to be here.
He's hiding in the back.
Well, hearing none, is there anybody on the Zoom call that would like to speak in favor or opposed?
I thought Don was going to be here. Ooh, Don. He was supposed to be, probably forgot.
In that case, it is 5:18. I'm bringing it back to the board. Are there any comments from the board regarding the...
I think it's fantastic that we were able to get this level of grant funding again for so many necessary infrastructure projects that are costly and make a big impact on the town, taxpayers when we don't get these kinds of grants. So I'm very excited that we were able to get that. Big thanks to the town staff for their work on it.
Actually, it just arrived.
Yeah, well, based on population and...
Right.
Well, there will be work to be done to
There will
administer
be.
the money and to track it and identify the projects. There's always work.
So assuming we accept this, do we have a timeline for the projects? How do we actually decide which projects?
We have until 2026 to expend the money, so between
Right,
now
but,
and...
okay,
We're just
We
going
don't have
to,
a plan at the moment for, okay.
about which one's coming first. We know that the one behind the school, the
Right.
water, that's already underway.
Right.
So that'll probably be your first expenditure on that.
Or at least our first to consider.
Right.
And I would think Bartlett Road, we would be considering that right away as well, given that that's a project underway.
We'll bring back purchase orders each time. Different things.
And I just noticed that Don Jutton just came to the back of the room. Don, we already had our hearing on acceptance of the funds and expenditure of it.
He probably can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Or
Nope.
yeah. So we were talking about accepting and expending the $718,000, and to include the project that you brought before the board, the $140K that you're looking for the replacement of that culvert near the ball field behind the high school. And also, Green Street, South Main, or South Main Extension, Emerson, and that's probably it as far as water and sewer.
The one question we did have that you might have a ballpark estimate on is do you know what the estimated cost of that side road off of South Main?
How many feet? Do we know how many feet it is?
We talked about it in our meeting the other day, and I didn't know if it was Emerson Street or if it was another street. That's why I said a side street that we are doing as part of our project.
It's approximately $300 a foot. So I don't know the length of the street.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
We can spend all $780 if it's.
So could we. Although we're one big happy family, so. All right.
If it doesn't work out and there is not enough money to cover all the projects, maybe we can at least get the engineering of Railroad Square done, or have
Yeah.
somebody look at that to help us get through that.
Because some of the other grant work we've looked at really wants the project to be shovel ready even
Right.
before they'll allocate. So if we took a project like that and brought it to that point, it might make it easier for us to get the next grant to
Right.
take it to the finish line.
But people have been throwing this place around, this area around for quite a bit. So if we can try to help push that in the right direction, that would be great.
Very good.
Vote.
So therefore, is there a motion?
I move that we accept the unanticipated revenue of $718,380 from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Thanks, Zach. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Mary Ann seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Next, I'd like to read a plaque in honor of Steve LaFave. And,
Come on up here, Steve.
yeah.
Don't be shy now.
So for the 27 years of dedicated service that you gave to the town of Plymouth in the capacity of police officer, sergeant, captain from July 28th, 1994 to February 26th, 2012, serving as chief of police in Plymouth, New Hampshire, again from February 27th, 2012 to September 30th, 2021. Your leadership and professionalism have earned you the respect and gratitude of the town of Plymouth and its employees. Thank you for your many contributions. Presented by Select Board members William Bolton, Mary Ann Barnsley, Zach Terrell, Neil McIver, and Ted Wisniewski.
Sure.
You can.
Come back here.
Yeah.
She's doing it right there, so just keep going.
That's okay.
Very nice.
Alex is equally as shy.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next. Can I just trash it? Oh, yeah. We have an appointment of Steve LaFave as a PSU officer.
I feel like I'm hogging the agenda.
You're not the only one, though. You gotta tell them more. And I don't think I need to read it, but basically you're filling the position of a PSU full-time lieutenant. And effective date will be when this is signed. And
Effective October 1st.
okay. So effective date October 1st. And I guess is there a motion or any discussion, or do you want to say anything about this, or?
No, it is what
Change your
it is.
mind, or-
I've said what I already gonna say, but thank you, I appreciate it.
I make a motion, we accept the appointment of Steve LaFave as PSU officer.
All right.
Second.
Mary Ann moves, and Ted seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Thanks once again.
Thanks, Steve.
Please sign legibly. I guess that's directed to Mary Ann. That's okay. Next, we have the appointment of Dennis Winders of Plymouth to the Energy Commission. And Dennis wrote, "I'd like to serve my community as a member of the Plymouth Energy Commission. After decades in the White Mountains, I have deep respect for the environment. As a new resident, it's important that I help advance energy-saving initiatives for the town." Thank you, Dennis Winders. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept Dennis Winder's request for appointment to the Plymouth Energy Commission.
Ted moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mary Ann seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. And then last appointment, we have Jamie Cronin to serve, fill a vacancy in the Office of Energy, of the Energy Commission in the town of Plymouth. And Jamie writes, "With this letter, I request your approval to serve on the Plymouth Energy Commission. I am committed to maintaining and improving the town of Plymouth and feel that I can help the stated purpose of the PEC bylaws, which is to assist the town of Plymouth, its Board of Selectmen, and its citizens reduce energy use and consumption, thus saving money for the town and its citizens. Thank you for your consideration. I look forward to working with you. Sincerely, Jamie Cronin." Is there a motion?
I move to accept Jamie's appointment.
Okay, Zach moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Ted seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Okay, new and other business. We have a Parks and Rec Commission to present a reorganization, restructuring proposal. Okay.
Okay. Move along.
Committee reports. Wow. Are there any committee reports?
Planning board met. It was fairly uneventful. A single subdivision, straightforward.
To get away with that.
Yeah, it was one of the easier ones lately. We also approved a restaurant moving into sort of a slightly out of zone location, Greek restaurant that's moving in across from where Aroma Joe's is currently being constructed.
Rap City was gonna, were you talking about Rap City or?
Rap City is
yeah.
also moving in. That's
Right.
2 board meetings ago, though, that got tentative
Yeah,
conditional
But that's
approval.
across the street.
That's across the street with Aroma Joe's, but no, across the street from there,
Right.
in that building. And there's actually a sign up if you've been by there recently. I don't know when they're opening, but
yeah, which building?
it's that existing building. I think it's got flippin' furniture in it.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Oh,
Gotcha.
that one. Huh. Cool.
All right, Mary Ann,
Nothing. School meets next week.
water and sewer,
I thought, nothing. There's
okay.
no meetings scheduled.
I'm not sure they can hear you in the back of the room, Mary Ann, when you're
Oh.
speaking. If you can speak up.
Mary Ann has nothing to report.
It does sound like the contention around masks is heating up a
Still,
bit at
yeah.
the school.
Still, actually, all the towns, but
All the surrounding
yeah,
towns.
particularly high school and the elementary should be another one.
Yeah, a couple of surrounding towns have passed a thing. A couple surrounding towns have
Right.
voted and had protests, and it's gotten fairly heated.
Correct.
It's a topic that's hot at the school board at the moment.
Right, it's been building for sure.
Maybe a hot topic, but if you look at the results of schools with masks and schools without masks, I mean,
Right.
they're tracking it. It's like not almost double the cases, but pretty near.
You don't have to
So-
convince me, Bill.
You sure? Oh, actually, Lakes Region Planning Commission, you're supposed to report on that, but we're supposedly meeting like going on right now. They always.
I always put them on Mondays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec Commission, I think we're there as well. And all right, economic development, no movement. There we go.
Yeah.
Is parking committee gonna heat back up again with these new
Yeah, we
leaders?
actually have been meeting. We're trying to regroup all over again. Actually, Frank Miller, and he's got a lot of background information we'll be working off of as well.
It's still not here, I guess. I don't know. Oh well. Okay. Is Parks and Rec ready for?
We can let Alex go.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Personnel, Alex Hutchins, Deputy Police Chief, open discussion regarding his request for the position of Plymouth's new police chief. And we've gotten several letters in support. And it's like too numerous to read. Sorry about that, but there may be a couple of.
Do you want to state who they're from rather than?
Yeah, definitely that, but I was almost tempted to like maybe read one or two, just because I like to read, but and my kids are all grown up, so,
Some great highlights in here for sure.
yep. So, well, the first letter that's on top is from Chief Ken Miller. And, you know, he's, the chief of Thornton. And he supports the promotion of Deputy Chief Alex Hutchins to Chief of Police for the town of Plymouth. And he states that Alex has been his main point of contact during his 4.5 years as Chief of Police for the Thornton Police Department. And he fully supports Deputy Chief Hutchins as next police chief. Second, Hebron Police Department. We got a letter from Chief Travis Austin. I know him. And he also is writing in support and encouragement for the promotion of Deputy Chief Hutchins to be promoted as Chief of Police. And he states that he has no doubt that he will do amazing things with the exceptional staff that is currently in place.
He also said, to put it as simple as possible, he's a role model of what I strive to be. It felt like a pretty strong compliment.
And we have Chief Michael Vagan from Groton. writing in support of the promotion of Deputy Chief Hutchins. And he believes that he is an asset to the police department and would excel in the chief of police position, keeping our police department on a positive path serving our community. Next, town of Ashland. William Ulwick. He's unable to attend this meeting. He's worked with Alex for a number of years now, and he's witnessed his leadership, work ethic, and job knowledge firsthand, and believes that he will lead the department in a professional and respectful manner. And this one was from Spear from Michelle, which both lauds Chief LaFave and also recommends Alex. Dear Select Board Chair, on behalf of Spear Memorial Hospital, I'm writing to express our appreciation for the support and working relationship we have enjoyed with the Plymouth Police Department. They have always been available and responsive to our unique needs and have collaborated with us to ensure the safety of our patients, staff, and visitors. This positive relationship is a result of the culture and tone set by the leaders of the department. Chief LaFave and Deputy Chief Hutchins set that tone and lead by example. Their professionalism is unparalleled, as is their understanding of what our patients and family members are going through when there is a trauma, a drug overdose, or a person in mental health crisis. We wish Chief LaFave the best for the next chapter of his career. We also want to express our support for Deputy Chief Hutchins as the next Chief of Police for the Plymouth Police Department. We are confident that he will ensure that the police department will continue to operate with integrity, professionalism, and efficiency. His experience in and knowledge of Plymouth, New Hampshire, particularly relative to our community's safety concerns, his open communication style and calm presence make him approachable and a trusted leader. Please accept this letter as our endorsement of Alexander Hutchins as our next Chief of Police for the Plymouth, New Hampshire Police Department. Thank you for your consideration, Michelle. And this hot off the press, well, as we received it as this meeting was opening. Dear Mr. Bolton, I'm writing this letter in support of Deputy Chief Alexander Hutchins' candidacy for Police Chief of Plymouth. As the principal of Plymouth Regional High School for close to 30 years, I have found 4 former police chiefs. This would be my 5th. I've had, as a principal in this district, I had the pleasure of having Deputy Chief Hutchins during his elementary and high school years. Let's say something, Bruce,
take
or
a
what?
turn, so.
I've watched him grow, literally, into an extremely mature individual. He could not have served under a more extremely professional mentor, Police Chief LaFave. We have been fortunate to have worked with Deputy Chief Hutchins for over 20 years. He has always maintained a professional, caring demeanor, whether working with our students, staff, or parents. I highly endorse his candidacy for Police Chief of Plymouth, New Hampshire. Sincerely, Bruce Parsons and Randy Cleary, CTE Director, Paul Borsch, Student Service Director, Todd Austin, Athletic Director, Tennille Torino, School Psychologist, and Kylie Kapp, Technology Director. Tony Raymond also had a nice letter. I'll keep on reading these, but leave it to be said that he, remembers hiring you, and the fact that, well, as a former police chief, I appreciate the strong value of in-house promotions when possible. I believe Alex is a skilled, well-trained, worthy, and deserving candidate. He has already given Plymouth almost 20 years of his life through dedicated service and stands ready to give more. I hope you will give him the chance that he has worked so hard for and has justly earned. Tony Raymond. Kevin Foss. Holderness. Police Chief. No. Campton. Lives in Holderness. He's known Alex professionally and personally for over a decade. Always known to be capable and professional. I've seen him serve the Plymouth community with utmost dedication. Town of Plymouth is fortunate to have Deputy Hutchins as a public servant and would be well served by him as the Chief of Police. And the police, the Plymouth Police and Fire Union. Dear members of the Select Board, we're presenting this letter on behalf of the members of the Plymouth Police and Fire Department Union as a show of support for Deputy Chief Hutchins. And with Chief Lefebvre retiring after 27 years of service, there are some big shoes to fill within the department. Choosing the next police chief is not a decision that should be made lightly or without thinking of the responsibilities a chief needs to take on that role. With that being said, Deputy Chief Hutchins has not only shown but has proven himself to the town and the department that he has the knowledge, the experience, and leadership abilities to continue operating a successful department the town and employees can be proud of. From the union. There is a bunch of Facebook comments that some are chopped, some are full, but needless to say, they're both thanking you, Chief, and also recommending Alex to be a successor. And to include former board member, Mike Ahern. And so, this is from Chief Morrison. I write in support of the promotion of Alex Hutchins to Plymouth Police Chief. Over his 20-year career in Plymouth, Alex has remained a consummate professional. During that time, he has cultivated many key relationships that will assist him in performing the duties of police chief. He knows the community well and all the players. There are times when it may be beneficial to bring in a manager from the outside. However, this is not one of those cases. The promotion of Alex Hutchins to police chief is well-deserved and will ensure that our police department remains a professional and well-managed organization.
I think that's it.
That's it for letters.
You also have one from Scott.
That's not quite a letter, but I'm asking Scott actually to provide some input because our emergency management director, Scott Whedon, formerly worked with the New Hampshire Municipal Association, and he recruited police chiefs, fire chiefs, administrators for a number of towns, and he has an effective tool to determine whether or not a person is ready to, be appointed by the town based on meeting 10 metrics. And I asked Scott to.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
I appear here tonight as a resident of the town of Plymouth. I have been involved in professional recruitment for over 15 years with my tenure with the New Hampshire Municipal Association and Property Liability Trust. I've recruited several police chiefs, fire chiefs, and administrators. And I want to talk about the 10 attributes of a successful police leader. And I think we have somebody in front of us tonight who exhibits and provides the community with those services and with those attributes without speaking hesitant about it. So I want to start off, when it comes to the knowledge, skills, and abilities to embody leadership qualities, most law enforcement executives have the tools and resources to lead successful agencies. These leaders get the job done while working with their communities to solve problems. Those same executives also excel at effective leadership today, partially because of the continued career development and advice they've received from successful supervisors and chiefs they've worked for in the past. And you have two of them here tonight, Chief Lefebvre, Chief Temporino, and Chief Raymond, in which Alex has worked under for those 19 years he's been with the department. Being an effective leader is a great thing, but being able to articulate why and how one becomes a strong leader adds true substance and depth to the topic. Most law enforcement officials choose to lead with their respective discipline because they want to successfully direct the execution of the agency's mission statement and strategic plan as efficiently and effectively as possible. It clearly makes more sense to have someone who understands the goals and objectives of the department provide guidance and direction than to simply have someone without that institutional knowledge attempt to do the same. And in many occasions that I've spoken with boards of selectmen, I've spoken with town managers in the initial phases of recruitment of a police chief, we talk about the institutional knowledge, we talk about the expertise, we talk about the career and the development plan of that internal candidate who poses these attributes as I will continue on. So whether it's important to have the right people in place to lead in any law enforcement agency is not the question. The question is, instead, what does it take to provide best possible law enforcement leader? And I'll talk a little bit about those 10 attributes. One of them is being an active listener. Seek to understand, seeking to be understood. Be non-judgmental. Give your undivided attention to the speaker and use silence effectively. And I think over Alex's career, and I've been able to watch him grow through his career, he is an active listener. He understands the community, and he wants to make sure the community moves in a positive direction going forward. Education. Education is an element of leadership development that is ongoing, regardless of one's skill as a leader. The list of training development options includes college, degrees, certificates, on-the-job training, virtual and on-site workshops, and seminars, self-education, among others. Educational development opportunities are limitless. No matter where one is in life, learning to better oneself, his or her staff, and the department should never end. A chief should also consider instructing leadership training sessions within their agencies to better prepare the department to take on leadership roles to increase morale and efficiency. Experience that were successful for the chief or the supervisor should be passed on to line officers. Often instructors themselves learn in training environment through interactions with officers who are being trained. If done correctly, the form of training for officers could be part of an agency's succession planning process, which is, I think, what we exactly have here tonight. As Alex has been here for 19 years and served this town with high integrity and moral, and has been deputy chief for the last 10 years, and has shown his successing abilities as he's moved through his career. A perfect example is Alex rising through the ranks in his degree in criminal justice in the FBI LEEDA Triology Series, the Supervisor Leadership Institute, Command Leadership Institute, and the Executive Leadership Institute with LEEDA stands for Law Enforcement Executive Development Association. So I think it shows Alex's willingness from the time he graduated from high school, becoming a part-time officer, and moving through his criminal justice degree into some advanced leadership training, as well as other training and opportunities that he's had throughout his career. Attention to detail. Having a broad conceptual knowledge of the agency is, of course, important, but a strong leader is also aware of the details, such as knowing which personnel are best at what types of assignments. Law enforcement executives need to master this skill in order to build crucial relationships within the agency and community, to enhance the performance of the agency, and to build legitimacy and thus buy-in from the officers in the community. I think Alex has that attention to detail with financial management, with the grants that he's written, and with the technology that he's implemented within the agency under Chief Lefebvre's direction. Talking about directions. Directions provided to a subordinate are only as good as the method and manner in which they were given. An outstanding leader gives clear and consistent instruction. To do this, the leader has to understand the audience for his or her directives to need to ensure that the message is received correctly. Often is it effective to put directions in an email or another written form, allowing opportunity for the review of the document in a roll call or small settings. Checking for understanding and answering questions to ensure the tasks are completed with minimal errors. This manner may seem redundant, but people interpret information differently. Removing distraction and providing the information in the best possible environment will help the chief and/or supervisors ensure that communications are received and understood. Remembering that an excellent leader has to communicate effectively in order to be understood. Evolution. And I think this is where we've had 3 successful chiefs since I have worked in the area, being Tony, Steve, and hopefully in the future Alex. But evolution is very important, is that they all have the same job to do, but they're not all the same person. Each one brings their own personality to the table and learns from those that he has been successful leaders in the past. The ability to evolve and adapt can turn a good leader into a high-achieving leader with loyal following. Once chiefs feel secure in the way they have always conducted their business of directing, controlling, budgeting, inspiring, and motivating, and so forth, it's a sign that it might be time to reinvent or update the leadership style. Chances are the leadership style chief started with in the early career would have been tweaked to keep up with the incoming generations in order to attain personal growth. For example, younger generations relate to interacting well with more recent technologies such as virtual devices and social media platforms. So leaders have to adapt and educate themselves on a broad spectrum of the various forms of technology to become more relevant and inspire and be inspired by these new officers. I think part of this is Alex's exceptional interaction with the community, the school, the university, and the business community, is that he's looking to evolve the police department as we move forward into future years. Resourcefulness. Being resourceful, clever, innovative is particularly important when it comes to solving complex and tedious projects. Resourcefulness is certainly necessary when managing and leading any group of personnel with law enforcement agency. If chiefs cannot creatively lead their team to accomplish objectives despite potential obstacles, how can they mentor and guide the troops looking for their skill development? Developing of the following skills require that leaders recognize followers' full potential, maximum their performance, skill sets, and encourage them to think outside the box. I think this goes back to Alex's ability to be the on-call supervisor through the night and through the evening when some of the more tedious calls come in, and Alex has done that unwavering. Alex has taken that challenge, he has made those decisions and been supported by his chief when those decisions have been made in the middle of the night, when something has occurred and traumatic situation has evolved. Number 7 is service. I think Alex's reputation here in the town of Plymouth is outstanding. He came here 19 years ago, and I don't think he looks to leave. Alex has built his home in the town of Plymouth, working very hard towards his professionalism, his dedication to the community, and his service is something that all law enforcement officers know professionally provided to the communities in which they serve. The community service is necessary for the most visible form of government representation, but there must be internal service to complete the concept. Managers must all serve the followers that serve in front lines and will become the future leaders of the agencies. Chiefs should ask their staff and the staff needs are what would make life better from the performance of the staff duties. The bosses may be surprised about some of the responses they'll receive when taking this approach, because this reply will mostly be manageable requests. Serving the followers lets them know the managers truly care, and it provides a much more incentive for productivity and morale to increase across the board. And I think Alec has adapted and staff has adapted when they've talked about the different changes in the agency and understanding the strengths and positivities of each of the officers that report both to Alex and Steve on a daily basis. Humor. Humor is perceived and delivered differently by everyone. And for some people are naturally wittier than others. The social skill can work wonders in trust and moral if executed in a timely and appropriate manner. The key here is how to know one's limitations when attempting to tie humor in with law enforcement, because leaders should not make fun of another's tragedy. Leaders should never demean or belittle any victim or circumstance, because that attitude reflects negatively on the agency. Striking such a balance between recognizing the seriousness of the work and the line officers perform with humor when the situation warrants it is an attribute to the leaders that they strive to please. Integrity, strong morals, and honesty demonstrated by a leader with integrity will reinforce the agency's mission statement and the community's expectations of professional policing. Without integrity, there is little hope for trust and legitimacy to be perceived by officers in the community. This is one definite way to display integrity and commitment to the community. An agency has the reputation for having officers with integrity is an agency that has the trust of the community. And I know in the time that I've lived in Plymouth and the time over the last year serving as emergency management director, I don't think anybody has come in front of this board questioning the integrity, the morale, or the professionalism of this police department that's been led to date. So once again, one more reason why I believe Alex should be promoted to be the next police chief in the town of Plymouth. And number 10 is people. People is the most important and integral part of this community. And people are the foundation of which leadership is built. Good leaders cultivate good followers. People need to be praised in public for a job well done. And they appreciate when leaders see beyond the uniform to individuals with personal interest and concern, which I think we can say of our police department that we have here in Plymouth, that each of them has a different way in responding back to the community outside of their professional policing duties, is that they're here in the community and they serve the community in many different aspects and ways. Also, people need to be coached in order to become better and more comfortable in their positions, and at times they need to be motivated and to continue pursuing outstanding performance and congratulated on reaching successful goals. An effective leader discovers the strengths of individuals and helps them utilize those strengths, thus increasing both performance and morale. If a leader is a people person and remains humble, the leadership role will become simpler. Quite frankly, putting people first and valuing the investment that you make in staff is something that an effective leader can't overlook. It's something that absolutely has to be done. Listening, education, attention to detail, direction, evolution, resourcefulness, service, humor, integrity, and people leadership are the key ingredients to successful leadership. Of course, no two chiefs lead the same way, and I spoke about that earlier. But if each of the leadership attributes are applied in one's management style, then the basis is covered. Law enforcement officials must be successful in carrying out their duties while managing others. Attempting to lead without a strategic plan should not be an option. Understanding how to personally and effectively incorporate these attributes into one's management style certainly develops with practice, but it should not be overlooked. Appropriately applying leadership concept amounts to a win-win for the agency, the followers, the leader, and the community. In developing and improving upon these attributes will put any leader on the road to success. Over the 19 years that Alex has been with the Plymouth Police Department, 10 years as deputy chief, he initiated his education as a police leader. He has been coached and mentored by several police leaders, all who have shown and been in very successful careers. Alex embraces and exercises the attributes of a police leader and has demonstrated this over the past 10 years as serving as deputy police chief under Chief Lefebvre. With keeping this all in mind and understanding the attributes of a successful police leader is why I would recommend Alex Hutchins should be appointed as the next police chief for the town of Plymouth. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
You want to hear from Alex?
Yeah, I was just going to introduce Alex to the crowd and ask him to say a few things about himself and where he sees he's going to be taking the department.
So thank you. I did prepare a speech. I usually don't like to type something and read something, but I kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of, for the last 40 years, where have I come and how I got here. So I'd like to take a few minutes and explain to myself, if you don't mind. So, well, first off, thank you very much for allowing me to come up here and speak with you, the board, Kathy, and for the residents of Plymouth. So I appreciate that. I also want to thank Chief Lefebvre for his 27 years for the town of Plymouth. He has dedicated his life to this town, and it really shows. He has done a lot for this police department and for this town, and for the members that have worked under him. So we thank you very much.
Alex, can we move the podium a little bit so people can actually see
Sure.
you that might be watching at home?
Yeah, well, the feet come off of that thing easy.
They can see him
I
on
think you're going to have
Still
to
can't see you.
go this way.
Yeah, it's going to have to.
Oh, okay, sorry. That's good, Alex, you're good.
Good?
Well, we can see the microphone.
So Chief Lefebvre played a pretty important role in the start of my career with the Plymouth Police Department. It all started while I was attending high school here in Plymouth, when Steve Lefebvre actually showed up to the cafeteria during one of my lunch times, where he was trying to seek out some students to become Plymouth Police Explorers, to kind of learn about policing, law enforcement, and also the town of Plymouth Police Department. So I thought that was very exciting because as a child I've always wanted to become a police officer. So obviously I took to his interest and I spoke to him for a while. And his knowledge, his ability about speaking about law enforcement and the town of Plymouth, I was very interested. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, I would love to join the Explorer program here in Plymouth. So I did. So I knew right away that I wanted to join the Plymouth Police Explorers, which I did. And during my time as an explorer, Chief LaFave and other members of the Plymouth Police Department taught us many useful things about becoming a police officer and to the day-to-day tasks that they deal with and handle. So this only confirmed that I definitely wanted to further my education towards becoming a law enforcement officer. As I was finishing up my high school education, I thought about what the next step would be for me. I knew that I wanted to stay local, and while working towards my criminal justice degree, I was accepted to NHTI in Concord for criminal justice, which meant I would be able to live locally while attending school. This gave me the opportunity to seek out the potential employment as a police officer, but still attend school at the same time. So I met with the select board in the town of Rumney, New Hampshire, because the town of Plymouth Police Department had a policy on not hiring people under the age of 21, even though in the state of New Hampshire, you only had to be 18 to go to the police academy. So the town was very impressed with a local resident who was interested in a law enforcement career and was willing to juggle college and the police academy at the same time. So the town of Rumney hired me and sponsored me to attend the New Hampshire Part-Time Police Academy, which in the time was actually being held here at Plymouth State College. So I attended the part-time academy and received my New Hampshire certificate to become a part-time police officer at the age of 19. So while finishing up my college criminal justice degree, I worked nights and weekends for the town of Rumney as a patrol officer. I knew at this point in my life I was headed in the right direction of wanting to become a career in law enforcement. So this drove me to work harder and to do the best I could so I would further my career and become a full-time police officer. So after completing college and obtaining my criminal justice degree, I was hired by the town of Woodstock, New Hampshire as a patrolman. I started as a part-time police officer with the opportunity to transition into a full-time position. I was only 20 years at the time. I was only 20 years old at the time, so I was still not eligible to work for the town of Plymouth because of their policy. So the town of Woodstock hired me as a full-time officer and sponsored me to the full-time police academy, which I accepted. So in March 2002, I successfully completed the academy and obtained my New Hampshire full-time police certificate. I continued to work for the town of Woodstock as a patrolman. In November 2002, I received a phone call from Chief LaFave, who at the time was a sergeant with the Plymouth Police Department. LaFave wanted to meet up with me and talk about a career with the town of Plymouth. So I met up with LaFave and explained to him that the town of Plymouth, he explained to me that the town of Plymouth actually received a grant to add an additional officer, and that the town of Plymouth and the Plymouth Police Department was very interested in me. So they wanted me to join their team because they had seen my work ethic and enthusiasm towards law enforcement. And I explained to him that I already had a job and I really wasn't thinking about leaving anywhere. But he asked me to think about it. So after many sleepless nights thinking about what I wanted in my law enforcement career, I knew I wanted to dedicate my time and efforts in a community that meant a lot to me. The town of Plymouth really means a lot to me because of growing up in the area, going to school here, and having family members a part of the community. I knew that this was an opportunity of a lifetime, and now that I was eligible to be hired by the town of Plymouth, I wanted to focus on my long-term career goals. This was not just a job change for me, as I already had a job, but a start of a career in a community that I cared for. I wanted to be part of keeping the town of Plymouth a safe place to live, a place where you could own a business, and a safe place to visit. So I decided to meet with Chief Tony Raymond, who was the police chief at the time, and accepted a position as a full-time police officer with the town of Plymouth. This was the start of my now 19 years with the town of Plymouth. So during the first few years with the Plymouth Police Department, I was able to learn a lot from fellow officers. I took bits and pieces from everyone and put it together to best fit my personality, values, and work ethic. So after being with the department only for 3 years, I was asked to become a field training officer for the department. The field training officer is responsible to train new officers that join the department. The field training officer is chosen with a thought in mind that they would train the future police officers with the same integrity, professionalism, and work drive as them. During my time as a field training officer, I trained several police officers who were sought out by other agencies because of their job knowledge and work ethic. This was tough as I spent a lot of time and effort to train them, but it was also a good feeling as I was able to help others in their career goal. So in 2008, I was promoted to sergeant here. I was responsible to oversee the patrol officers, and I was also pretty much the evening supervisor. So some of those responsibilities were making sure that the directives from the chief, at the time the captain or lieutenant, were met. I reviewed and approved reports, made sure officers were following proper department policies and procedures, prepared operational plans for large-scale events like homecoming and spring fling at the university. I did the parade permits and like the state permits and the town permits for parades. I generated the patrol officer schedules to best fit the needs of the town, assisted the dispatch center with any of their needs. I supervised the FTO officers, and I also did the patrol duties as everyone else. During my time as a sergeant, I was able to obtain several trainings for supervision. So in 2012, Lefebvre was promoted to chief police, and Chief Lefebvre came to me and wanted me to be his second in command. And at the time, it was a captain's position, but he changed it to a deputy chief's position. So I accepted this position as I knew this would further my career goals, and I was ready to take on more responsibilities. So some of my responsibilities as the deputy chief for the last almost 10 years have been overseeing the day-to-day operations of the police department. And don't forget, the police department also runs a regional dispatch center that dispatches for 9 other agencies other than Plymouth. I review the daily activity reports to make sure things are getting done correctly. I supervise the sergeants, the prosecutor's office, the parking enforcement, the detectives, and the dispatch center. I assisted the chief with the department goals and objectives. I send out directives to supervisors to ensure efficiency and making sure the department goals are met. Conducted annual employee performance evaluations, making sure that each employee was receiving adequate training. Made sure that adequate staffing is working at the time at different dates and locations to make sure that it met the needs of the town. I served on some town committees, assisted in responding to calls for service when the call volume was high. I oversaw the networking of the PD and the PDs who connect to our records management system. I oversaw the phone system. I oversaw the radio system that the dispatch center uses. I assisted in recruiting employees. I built working relationships with our vendors, our radio vendors, our phone vendors, or any other, where we get our cruisers or any equipment that we got for the PD. Assured that everyone was up to date on current events and training. Assisted with the budget, which are 4 budgets for the police department. We have the police, dispatch, parking, and the school resource officer budget. Making sure employees were following department policy, and if they weren't, I investigated the discipline. I have been the on-call supervisor, actually for almost 10 years, and that meaning that in the middle of the night, if something happened in police services or dispatch services, I would be the one that they would call, and I would, in the middle of the night, would have to make split-minute decisions of what we should do. And I also assisted in innovation, bringing the PD into the 21st century with the technology and moving forward. So, during my almost 10 years as deputy chief, I've also learned a lot about administrative duties and how to lead the police department. I also have built many relationships during my 19 years with the town of Plymouth Police Department. A few of those relationships, I can't mention them all, but a few of them, SAU 48, Plymouth Regional High School, and Plymouth Elementary School. I've worked very closely with all of them to ensure the safety of the students, emergency plans, communications, alert systems, and so on. Spear Memorial Hospital, we've worked with them very closely about hospital security and implemented radio communications between the two for emergency situations. Plymouth Fire Department, we work with them very closely in making sure that our officers train with their officers because we're all emergency services and we work very closely together. Plymouth State University and Plymouth State University Police Department, we work together a lot, obviously, because they are sworn Plymouth police officers. We work together to make sure that the goals are met for the town and the universities and working on solutions if there's any problems between the two. The Sheriff's Department, we have a great working relationship with the Sheriff's Department to make sure that they assist us and we assist them in solving crimes and share intel. New Hampshire State Police, we wouldn't be able to do it without their help either. Some weekends extremely busy and they're able to supplement that, and we work very closely with them. We allow them to use our facilities at any time, and they're really grateful for us. The Katie program, Restorative Justice Program. So Katie for Youth and Restorative Justice, we use their program a lot to make sure that these kids are, can go through the Restorative Justice Program instead of a court. The Plymouth Rotary Club, I work very closely with them for our holiday parade and making sure that that goes off without hitch. Plymouth Parks and Rec, obviously we deal with them for any events in town, but also the downtown trick or treat, making sure that that event is safe and we can reroute traffic and everyone has a good time. So, and also I've built relationships with the 9 other police chiefs that we dispatch for. They pay the town of Plymouth for their police dispatch services, and you know, I've been there to make sure that any of their needs are met. So while working alongside Chief LaFave, we worked together to make sure that the decisions that were made best suited the town and the police department. We always were looking at ways to save the town money and make the budget that was given to us work. And one way we did this was by seeking out grants, which we received several of. So some of the examples, like Chief LaFave had come up with a highway safety grant for the speed enforcement, DWI, seatbelt safety, distracted driving. Highway safety has paid for some of our mobile data terminals in our cruisers, the printers in our cruisers, and the license scanners in our cruisers. One of the latest ones I did were for the 2 speed signs that you guys see. Currently they are on Highland Street, and we have them programmed so specifically during school times it tells people, hey, this is a school zone and you're going too fast. And that those signs are really helpful. They do collect data for us, so then we can deploy them at different locations and then take the data and deploy officers in areas that we need to do traffic enforcement. So another one that we got, and this was a few years ago, but we received a Homeland Security for about $90,000 to upgrade our dispatch center, and we did so. We got some nice consoles. Those dispatchers are working 24/7, and the consoles you can actually stand up if you wish. So we put a lot of thought and you know, resources into that dispatch center to make it a great working environment for our employees. So some other ways that we thought about, you know, saving the town money at different times is our cruisers. You know, we every 3 years we try to get some new cruisers for our patrol officers, and we looked at it where when I originally started here, we used to take old equipment and put them in new cars, and about halfway the life of the car, the equipment would stop working. So we were thinking of how we can implement and do something that we can be able to get new equipment for a new car, because that only makes sense. So the chief and I decided, well, let's learn how to install all this emergency equipment in the cruisers. So Chief LaFave and I did some research. We had people come to the PD and train us, and we also went out and bought our own tools. And for the last 10 years, Chief LaFave and I have actually installed the equipment in the cruisers. That way we can use the money that we would pay a vendor to install it and use that money to buy equipment to put in the cars. So when we renovated the police department a few years ago, where we upgraded the installation in the PD because there wasn't any installation in the PD, we used a contractor, but we acted as the general contractor to schedule everything, because that was a big chunk of the change as someone to pay as the general contractor. We took on those tasks and saved the town money to do that and schedule everything ourselves. We've bought the radio reprogramming software for our radios, and we learned how to do that, so we don't have to pay a vendor every time some updates need to be done for our radios. We've taught ourselves how to do that. So we recently did a phone upgrade because our phones were no longer under warranty or being able to service. So we bought a new phone system, but with an old PD, the wiring was no longer good and would not work with a phone system. So Chief LaFave and we went to the books and we learned how to wire a phone system, and we wired the police department for the new phone system. So our networking at the PD and our internet was not up to grade, and we were losing service a lot, and having a regional dispatch center was unacceptable. So we have had moved forward with dedicated fiber network. Again, the wiring at the PD was not going to accept that, so Chief LaFave and I rewired the whole police department for our network. So if we can think of it to save the town money, we will. So in conclusion, with my job knowledge, my 19 years of experience with the Plymouth Police Department, I feel that I would be the best candidate to lead the police department in the way that the town of Plymouth residents expect. I believe in community policing, in involvement, transparency, and have an open door policy to receive feedback from the community. The community is our eyes and ears, and we all have to work together to make this town a best place to live in, shop in, and to visit. If I am appointed the next police chief, this will be a smooth transition, as Chief LaFave and I have had a close working relationship, and we have made a lot of decisions together for the past almost 10 years without any issues. I will continue to lead this department with respect, integrity, and professionalism for many years to come. I will do my best to retain the hardworking employees at the police department. Retention is very important to me, because this is how you train and promote within to continue to have a knowledgeable agency for the town. It would be an honor and a privilege to lead the hardworking men and women of the Plymouth Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind remaining there. Does anybody might have a question for Alex? Speechless? Or maybe if anyone wants to say anything either for or against Alex's. Valerie Scarborough, I see your hand up.
Thank you. I'm Valerie Scarborough, Plymouth resident and former Select Board member. Alex, I'm not going to repeat what everybody else said, and I'll be brief. Alex was already an experienced police officer when I joined the Select Board in 2009. And in the years I've known and worked with him, Alex has consistently displayed exactly the professionalism we need in a police chief. When Steve LaFave was promoted to chief, Alex was selected from a group of highly qualified police professionals to be second in command, and he's just done a fabulous job. He's professional, he's smart, and he's down to earth. He's well respected in the police department and in the town. He knows the department, he knows the town, he knows PSU, he knows the region, and Plymouth really just can't ask for more in a chief. So I strongly recommend that he be the one to take the job.
Thank you, Val. Chief LaFave.
I'll be brief as well. I know we've had many meetings here. We're here till 9, 10 o'clock at night. And Alex and Scott have kind of already stole my thunder, so I'll just kind of condense some of this because I was going to go over some of the things they touched upon. But I feel as the current chief of police, it's my duty and responsibility to make sure that I leave the department in good shape and set them up for success in the future. And I truly believe that appointing Alex Hutchins to the next chief of police would ensure that. You heard both Alex and Scott talk about Alex being the on-call supervisor for the last 10 years. I think it's very important that everybody knows in those 10 years, him and I have never disagreed about a decision that him or I have made, nor have I ever had to overturn a decision that he's made in the middle of the night. So that just goes to show you that Alex and I are both cut from the same moral cloth. The other thing I wanted to end with is, lastly, I have never steered this town in the wrong direction. And I feel it is with my highest recommendation and without reservation that I believe Alex Hutchins should be the next chief of police. That's it. Thank you.
And I see Kyla Walsh, SAU superintendent, SAU 48 superintendent, has her hand up. Kyla, do you want to say a few words?
Yes, if you don't mind, real quick. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, thank you for letting me speak. Wow, there's a lot of great things that I've heard tonight, and I just want to reiterate that we would love to have Alex just jump into that position. And I want to also thank Chief Lefebvre for all of his support throughout the years. Both these two gentlemen, as well as the rest of the police force, have been super supportive with anything from child abuse and neglect to safety issues at the high school, to our partnership with our SRO. So I look forward to working with him if he becomes the chief. I fully support him. I won't take any more of your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kyla.
Yes, sir. You want to approach the mic and?
Very quickly.
Yep.
My apologies for not addressing you in the letter. I thought this would be here.
Did you?
Jeff Seeger, Grafton County Sheriff's Department. So an outsider's perspective, being lucky to work with these consummate professionals over the years, you really have something special here. You've heard a lot of internal components, but I see this from the outside. I had the privilege of working part-time for Plymouth State University for several years. But watching this over the years from my 25 years in Laconia and then working part-time here and now as the sheriff, you really have a collaborator here at the gate ready to assume control on day one. I commend Chief Lefebvre, Chief Temporino, Chief Raymond. You've really had a really great path of succession. It's sorry when you see somebody go, but I'm very confident that if you put this man into this office, he's going to train others so that when you're having these meetings again, it's not going to be a headache. And believe me, around the state, there are some communities that are not so lucky as what you have here in Plymouth. The spotlight is very bright on law enforcement right now. It's not a very attractive position, but when you have good, strong leaders like this, it makes all the difference. And obviously a supportive select board in town, which Plymouth really sets the example. So thank you for having me.
So Sheriff Seeley, you made reference to our chief leaving, but he's just going next door.
Well, it's a good place for him because everybody needs a good hand.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Take care.
Yes. Are you going to sing or? I know.
My name is Eden Lefebvre. I'm the administrative assistant over at Plymouth Police Department for the prosecutor. And I have worked for 4 law enforcement agencies in my career, and I also spent 15 years in customer service. In my 4 years in the 4 different agencies that I worked at, I had 4 different police chiefs and 1 sheriff, and also 1 temporary police chief. And I'd like to note, one I'm biased for, so I can't really speak on that behalf. However, working for those agencies, people were not happy all the time at those agencies. They were very bitter. They did not like who they worked for. That's not the case at Plymouth Police Department. People really like working there, and they're sad to see their current chief go, but they're very excited and very happy for who might be taking place in that administration. And working there as an administrator, there's a lot of confidence and there's a lot of support from the people who work with Alex. It's not just other agencies, it's the employees that work with him. He's a charismatic leader. He's an excellent orator. He's very good with the public. He's excellent with people who come in. And you have to understand, in law enforcement, people are scared. People are afraid of what's going to be happening. Especially when you're a police officer, you have to deal with the public in ways that the public doesn't know how to be dealt with. And Alex is wonderful dealing with people that way. And when you're a subordinate, and that's basically, you know, lower staff, and you deal with somebody like Alex, he doesn't make you feel small or inferior. He doesn't have a power complex. So he doesn't make you feel less than him as an employee. And I think that's why he's a great leader, because he doesn't make you feel inferior. And I think he would be an excellent chief of police for Plymouth Police Department, and that's how I feel. Thank you.
Typical of my wife, Dow Shiny, by the way.
Such is the life of wives. So, any other comments? Or John, you want to approach the mic? Just raise your hand.
My name is John Randlett, citizen of Plymouth and past selectman, budget committee member, and I wholeheartedly want to endorse Alex Hutchins for the position of police chief. I think we have two of the finest and best police officers that I have ever known, and both of them, their integrity, their character, dealing with them as a selectman. If they came and said they needed something, they needed something. And they had the backup for it. And we have one of the finest, I've lived many places in this country, and we've got one of the finest and most professional police departments that I have ever seen. And Alex, 19 years, 27 years with Steve, and Steve would not recommend him or bring him aboard if he did not have the confidence that he could carry on as Chief Temporino and Chief Raymond. They served this community, and these men put their lives at risk every single day. And Alex always has a smile. And as a selectman and budget committee member, I never had a problem with either one of them. If they said they needed it, they had the justification. And it's my honor to serve with both of you guys, and for you guys to have our backs. And I want to say thank you, and I want to endorse Alex for police chief. Thank you.
Deb, I guess Deb Nero, did you try to get our attention? Do you have a comment? Sorry.
Yep. And I'd also like to thank all the Board of Selectmen for the opportunity to weigh in tonight on this important appointment, and the due diligence that you're giving this, because this is very important to everyone in this town. You know, as long-term residents, Tim and I have been here for almost 50 years. And we are both in strong support of Alex. We want to thank Steve Lefebvre, Chief Lefebvre. He has done a tremendous job as a police chief. And we look at, I'm not going to repeat anything anyone else has said, because you know, but it's clear that Alex checks all the boxes, and he's invested in this town, and this town has invested in him significantly. Why would we want to look anywhere else? I mean, we could spend a lot of money on a search, and it's unnecessary. You know, let's look at COVID. We have every decision it seems like we've made has been the difficult decision, and this is the easy and the right decision. So I want to thank you for your consideration, and you know, as a resident, I feel like we've always been in good hands, and we will continue to be so with Alex as our police chief. So thank you.
Thank you, Deb. You want to push the mic, please? Thanks.
Mike Clark, I'm lieutenant and prosecutor with the Plymouth Police Department. In a couple of days, I'm going to start my 40th year of doing law enforcement in the Plymouth area. In that time period, I've had the good fortune of working for some excellent police chiefs. All of them I've had a great deal of confidence in, and I can tell you that I have no less confidence in this man than I did in any of the gentlemen that I've had the privilege of working for. And I highly endorse Alex for this position, and I look forward to working with him, hopefully for several more years. Thank you for your time.
Any other comment? Seeing none. So I appreciate what was said for in support of Alex and also for Chief Lefebvre. And I think at least our next step is to, I guess, consider what we're going to do with Alex. Let me first state, and I appreciate most of the comments like Deb, as far as like there really should be no need to go further. And I think in a past position, when we were looking at a replacement, we had the desire to at least stipulate that some of the positions in town were sufficiently impactful, I guess, that they would require going out to a hiring process to include members of our community. And I think that is generally, I think that's the best route to go. And, we attempted to do it with the town manager position. There was also a position we filled, the town planner position, did succeed in going out to, survey who was out there. But I have the feeling that we don't need to go in that direction, considering the overwhelming support that Alex has with both, town agencies, past, the sheriff. I think we don't need to look any further than Alex. And that was a pretty compelling report that that Scott did, and he's had a long career in choosing police chiefs for communities. And so I think that's probably the next step, is to see if we're at a point of assuming that Alex will be the next police chief. And any discussion from the board?
I think that's the obvious decision, for sure. Alex, business owner for 10 years, and my staff, myself, have never felt safer with Steve and Alex.
And if we decide to go forward with this, I think the next best step too is to develop a plan of how we do fill vacant positions of town leaders. And maybe we should have done that in the last positions that we filled, a more formal plan that the board will be involved in coming up with, steps in replacing leadership positions.
And procedurally, what do we need?
You can appoint him right now if you'd like to. If the board would like to have a meeting with Alex to determine if you can come to a negotiated amount between now and Friday, or because Steve is done on Friday.
Thursday's my last day.
Sorry, Thursday. Potentially we could have another meeting later in the week that we could actually sit down and have a conversation with Alex to see what it is he's looking for. I don't think that we're prepared tonight with a contract or a proposal, and you don't need 25 people in the room to do that.
Negotiate that. No, we sure don't.
So I think that maybe a meeting is scheduled between now and Thursday, or tomorrow morning and Thursday afternoon. See what Alex's schedule is and have a meeting with him.
So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Alex the next police chief, and to book a meeting to establish the particulars and the details of what that employment agreement will look like.
I'll second.
Okay, we had a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
There you go. While they're mingling, is there a day this week? that
Just
is-
looking,
I can't do Wednesday. I have an
Not
appointment.
Wednesday? If there's anything potentially Thursday morning?
what do we got?
Mary Ann?
We got,
Thursday morning works well for me. I can't do Friday at all.
Okay.
Thursday morning would be okay, actually, with me.
Thursday morning?
Thursday morning's good for me.
9 o'clock?
There's my Thursday.
So the three of them will, and maybe Neil will be here. He can't make Thursday morning, but the three of you can.
Well, it's, Thursday, what's the best time for, or the approaching?
Have a-
Not-
You're gonna get
No good?
another plaque
Okay.
that says the right-
If
All right, Thursday.
if I know when it is, there may be the possibility of moving something.
Gonna swear me in the
Do you have anything like 9 or 10? Is there anything there that you can move?
I have something that goes from essentially 8:30 all the way to 10:30.
11?
Can't miss the 11 o'clock.
You
11?
can't make 11?
Thursday's
I could make
I'm,
1 o'clock.
there's nothing I can't move on
1
Thursday.
o'clock, I can't do.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
got it 1 to 2, but
You're welcome.
I could make 2 o'clock.
I
How
can
about we
make
s-
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock?
could we do 2:30, just in case that goes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
Does that work for Alex?
You do 2:30 on Thursday. You can meet with the board. And on
Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Nothing like
I mean,
cutting
I
it
can
right
meet-
to the limit.
Right. I mean, I can meet tonight too.
They're not ready.
Yeah, let's shoot for Thursday.
Thursday at 2:30.
Do I need for anything else this evening?
I don't have my calendar.
You want to hang out?
Not particularly, no, no offense.
I have,
Your plaque,
Yeah,
are you aware that it's worded incorrectly?
yes, Kathy just pointed that out to me, so.
All right.
No worries.
Well, so it's gonna, well, you have to live with it. No, we'll get replaced.
physical
No worries.
therapy.
Change that to morning.
I might, I'll have to.
You'll have to Photoshop it in because we're not retaking the picture.
I know.
All right, here, this is correct. Just paste this to
If you
the,
want me to do that, that'd be fine. I can do that too. Well, thank you all. Have a good evening.
thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Thank you, Alex.
Good night.
Yep.
Alex, do you have copies of all this? Do you have copies of all this? All these letters and stuff?
I'm not clearing the room.
Here you go.
Okay. I put it on my I put it on my calendar. What
Okay.
else can have it?
Thursday at 2:30.
Oh. Alex.
But if it wasn't going to work, I would have just said go without.
Yeah, but if we can make it
Yeah,
work.
yeah, well.
We set it on 2:30.
Yeah.
Put it in my calendar.
Board member.
I am missing
Can you take,
the letter of resignation. I don't know what happened to it.
This one?
Yes, I can do.
just save one for
Thank you.
Neil.
Wow.
I heard that.
I was with Fury.
Hey, my friend.
All right.
Oh, very good.
Ideas of what you'd like.
What's that? You got 2 copies, or?
Yes. I have 3.
What's this?
Maybe you could send Kathy an email.
This is Alex's
Speech.
speech.
Oh, you didn't prepare
You
speeches?
didn't do this off the cuff?
He did well. He didn't.
Oh, yeah, I know he did well.
He did, yeah.
I'm just giving you a hard
He did
time.
very well.
You know, I could have said the whole thing. I'm the type of guy that I don't want to miss something.
No, you did well.
You did well.
I mean, I think a lot of people are supportive of it, so that's good.
A lot of
Think so?
support.
I think so.
I think it was enough people you couldn't have paid them all off.
There's no way. I'd be poor.
No, you pretty much nailed it as far as community-wide and getting all the players, involved in
I work with
hospitals.
them all the time, so it wasn't
Yeah.
hard to ask. Yeah.
I think we supported you as well. I don't know, but
Oh. No.
happens.
Well,
Do
thank
we
you very
wanna-
much. I
do we
appreciate it.
wanna
Look
do
forward to
the-
work with you guys.
Park and Rec.
Do you accept the
I will see you guys
resignation
out there.
first?
Okay,
Very good.
thanks.
Thanks.
Trivial.
Wow, that wasn't very nice.
Well, no, I mean, in terms of time.
Okay,
Okay, that's-
I guess we're still meeting.
Yeah, we still have a couple critical agenda topics here.
So the next item is acceptance of a resignation of Tyler Ray
Did we get
of
a,
the Highway Department, and he's stating, I, Tyler Ray, will be ending my employment with the Town of Plymouth Highway Department on September 30th, 2021. And he signed it September 20th. Is there,
I make a motion.
Okay.
oh my goodness.
I'll second.
So let it be
Marianne
written.
moves,
It's done.
10 seconds.
How screwed is the highway department?
Yeah, I know.
They're not. They're not.
Are they good?
Joe's done a really good job.
Was recruited recently? A
He
couple.
has.
Okay.
Kathy has signed off on a few, and he really has. Something happened over the last few weeks because he's had a flood of
Good applicants.
Yeah.
Right.
That's wonderful.
So-
Because I knew he had. What did he have? 1 or 2 positions already open.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, oh man, he's gonna have 3 open positions.
And
Are
winter's
you aware,
coming.
are you aware of what might have happened? Like, town
Well, we
laying
do
off
have a,
people?
we do have a mutual aid, where we could call in
Yeah.
locals, and you can also call in the state under certain circumstances, and they will assist us as well.
Gotcha.
Scott has set that up for, the highway department.
Huh, neat. Okay.
That's great.
Going
Oh.
into your
Vote on
bag.
that.
So, did we do all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay.
I always want to know what happens if we don't approve somebody's resignation.
We can make them come to work.
All right, so next we have the Parks and Rec Commission. Reorganize, restructure. And we have a letter from, Elena Panagoulis, describing the details of the plan. You want me to read it or into the?
I mean, admittedly, I think. Yeah. No, I think read it. We all heard it, but I think read it.
Oh, we already heard it?
You're reading it for Frank.
Frank, this is for you and all the people at home.
Or anybody who watches it on TV.
Right.
True.
Absolutely.
that's right.
I'll be watching it tomorrow because I'm so excited to see this meeting again. But so this is from Elena Panagoulis regarding Parks and Recreation restructuring. Dear Plymouth Board of Selectmen, we as a commission are writing to share details of the plan for the newly restructured Department of Parks and Rec. With the upcoming retirement of Director Larry Gibson, the commission sought to make effective changes to the department in order to best suit the current and future needs of the town of Plymouth. With the new restructuring plan, we will no longer have a director, but rather 2 highly qualified individuals sharing overall responsibilities for the department. Robert Cormier will become the parks supervisor, leading the Parks Department. In this role, Robert will use his expertise in maintaining the school and town grounds, supervising 3 parks employees. Lisa Ash will become the recreation supervisor, overseeing 3 recreational program team members. This will allow the department to continue to develop, promote, and deliver the well-attended programming that has been established over the past 20 years. With this restructuring, Parks and Rec will provide the town of Plymouth with a more cost-effective arrangement, saving the town approximately over $50,000. We are excited with this new model to also be able to offer new programs to the townspeople with the additional recreation team members. Members of the commission are planning to attend the Selectmen's meeting on Monday, September 27th to garner your approval. If you have any questions regarding the restructuring plan, please contact Elena Panagoulis, Chair of the Plymouth Parks and Rec. Lastly, we would like to thank Larry Gibson for his 30 years of service and dedication to the Parks and Rec Department and the town of Plymouth. We wish him the best in his retirement. Sincerely, Elena. And regarding the restructuring, unfortunately, I'd left the whole thing that you produced last time too.
Which thing?
The blocks and how things are moving around. I don't know. I guess I don't need that. Are these both the same, or this is before and after? Okay.
Maybe did I give you both the same? Sorry. Extra copy.
Does anybody-
I saw it last time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are we doing?
They are seeking approval for their reorganization,
Right.
correct?
And basically to, accept the decision of your board, your commission, to do this restructuring. And I guess bring it to the board. Is there any further questions or direction of what we should be doing or how we should proceed? Ann or Kathy? I know your commission or board agrees with the restructuring. Is there anything that needs to be done, like in the personnel thing or in the budget to make the corrections, or?
So in this restructuring, we have two people that are now going to be reporting to you, Kathy?
Lisa.
No, Lisa's going to accept that responsibility.
I can be the liaison communicator from time to time for Robert, but Robert will, this board wants to see Robert about the grounds and parks in detail, yes, will be.
Robert will be reporting to Kathy on paper.
Yes.
Both you and Robert will report to Kathy. Yeah, she goes from 2 to 1. 1 to 2.
You okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Accept that.
I figured I should ask.
So
we have to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we
There you go.
accept the recommendation to restructure the Department of Parks and Rec as recommended by the Parks and Rec Commission.
All right.
Second.
Zach moves, Mary Ann seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like this back, or we'll just, okay. Next item, we probably need a motion to go into non-public.
I thought that we were intentionally discussing this in public.
I think discussion of, personnel.
It is personnel.
Yeah.
It's
So do we
really
have it?
recommended that the board go into a non-public session. You can report, you don't have to seal your minutes if you don't want to. However, the discussion itself should be in non-public.
Do we have any other public
Yes.
things before we do that? So that-
Before that, no. But we do have another non-public issue, too.
Yeah, that was,
Right.
just thinking, just going into non-public. Once we get there, we stay there.
Right, so I guess we can entertain any public comments.
Public comment, it was a very good meeting.
Thank you very much. All right. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public.
In accordance with RSA 91-A:3, specifically A, personnel.
2A.
2A.
And, that's as far as like discussion of union negotiations, that's,
That's also personnel.
okay.
No, yep.
All right. All right, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Zach, your vote?
You have discussion first?
No.
You don't have any discussion on it?
I don't think a motion for non-public is discussionable.
Unless you don't,
You can vote no, yeah.
Then my vote is nay.
Well, okay. Ted, your vote?
There's also a reason why he's voting nay, so I'll vote nay too.
Wow. So I guess the motion fails. Okay. Because,
I want to hear
oh,
Zach's.
no, well, actually, what's your vote?
Aye.
Okay, and mine's aye as well. So motion fails, like a majority. So therefore, I guess we discuss the Larry Gibson severance recommendation.
So before we discuss the details, my understanding was that the Parks and Rec Commission was coming with a request in regards to Larry Gibson that had been discussed in their public meeting, thus already public information, and therefore no need for us to have a conversation, or at least to hear that request in public. Now, if my understanding of how that was originally discussed by the Parks and Rec Commission differs, then I'm just coming into this conversation with the wrong recollection.
When we talked about Larry's retirement, that was in the non-public session.
So the Parks and Rec Commission talked about Larry's retirement in non-public. Okay.
Due to the fact that it's a personnel matter, and it should be discussed in the non-public session.
I would agree. I thought last time that the Parks and Rec Commission had indicated that it had been discussed in public already.
We do not, just as you don't, we don't discuss personnel matters in public here.
Okay.
Shall we do another motion?
Sure.
I'll make a second motion to go into non-public in accordance to RSA 91-A:3 to specifically position, point A, personnel.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Zach, your vote?
Aye.
Ted, your vote?
Aye.
Mary Ann?
Aye.
I was going to throw a nay in there just for the heck of it, but aye. Okay, we're in non-public. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
On the motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I was trying to set up Mary Ann for that one, but
Mary Ann.
all those in favor say aye.
I was taking the
Aye.
fall for that. Aye.